Welcome back to the realm of Final Fantasy XIV. Today, we're taking a look at another of the dungeons added in the 3.1 update. There were two added that are now currently both in the Expert Roulette. Last time, we tackled the Arboretum, which was a brand new dungeon. Today, we're going to be tackling a hard mode of a previous dungeon. This dungeon as well is actually rather enjoyable, despite that it had quite the reputation the first time round. Pharos Sirius hard mode. So accompanied by Ogre, let's queue up and see what we can find. And of course we almost immediately get a group, because we've got a tank. And it's not just a solo DPS queuing. Yeah, this dungeon works almost, the drops from this dungeon are almost identical to the other dungeon. In fact, they are. Mechanically, the dungeon is quite different, though. Whereas the Arboretum actually was very lax on the mechanics, leaving you mostly to not stand in things and dodge. Pharos Sirius actually has some slightly more complex mechanics, though still nothing out of the expected. Both dungeons are both very fun. I don't know, I just like both dungeons. Okay, so we're actually, once we're in Pharos Sirius, you see we were actually airdropped into the top. That top floor up there is actually where we fought Siren in the normal mode of the dungeon. And we're instead going down backwards to figure out how the kobolds got into this place. You can see there in the distance a little ball of corruption killed a bird and took its form. These are really cool looking enemies, man. All things said, none of them actually do anything terribly dangerous. The birds have a directional AoE because they are birds. I still tend to kill the corrupted flan first, but that's only because it's one of the larger enemies. Did the healer just go get the flan that's lowered down? If the tank doesn't go get someone, don't go get someone. The healer's getting the other ads. By the end of this dungeon, Ogre and myself both wanted to wring this healer's neck. In fact, I believe the exact phrase was that I said, "Man, I wanted to wring that healer's neck," and then he said, "I would have beat you to it." Don't go ahead of the tank. That said, none of these enemies especially do anything worthwhile. The directional AoE from the crows was one of the most damaging things you had to do. The corrupted flan does not multiply like he did originally in the regular mode of Pharos Sirius. All these enemies are a little more than damage sponges. AoE them down, do what you've got to do. There were so many enemies, I couldn't not AoE. I mean, I couldn't just single target them down, it would take too long. And due to the sheer volume of them, I ended up going through my Invigorate as well as Purification to keep my TP up through the end of all of this. And I never have to use Purification. Gotta be adaptive, Orca, you get your butt back here. Okay, well, now that the next two pulls are done, we can just run straight down here, where you see a number of corrupted sprites and a corrupted wolf. Well, two corrupted wolves, two corrupted sprites. Still nothing terribly spectacular coming out of these guys. The corrupted sprites will cast Banish, I believe, and the corrupted wolves may have some kind... No, I don't believe they do, actually. The one thing you do need to pay attention to is you'll see various small circular AoEs appear around the area. That's where a crystal is about to crash down on that small area, and it will leave then a puff of corrupted aether behind. I believe standing in that corrupted aether will injure you in some way, as well as getting hit by it in the first place. They do fade away over time, though. So you don't have to worry about the area just completely filling up. As far as an attack priority, I don't think it especially matters. I tend to just go for whatever's closest. The next area opens up via a hole in the ground, which we can hop down. If you look down, you'll see 2 pipes. And if you land on the right pipe, there's a chest here. And that takes us to our first boss, which I think this is the place where the second boss was in normal mode. But I don't know, man. Pharos Sirius, that gets very serious hard. Completely throws me off as to where things are. Now we're standing here waiting for the healer. I don't know where the healer is. I don't know what the healer's doing. The healer is still standing on the pipe. Completely there. Not AFK. Nothing. Just standing up there, waiting for us to pull before she jumps down to join us. Can you just stop, please? And just do the dungeon. So that's all we want. Your first boss doesn't offer too much complicated on his own. I believe he has a cleave, so you won't want to stand in front of it, aside from the tank, obviously. Every now and then, though, a ball of corruption will appear, and you'll get a better look at this in the future, I can guarantee, which will tether a line to one or multiple players. The player then has to take this tether and tie it to one of the various monsters you see roaming about the arena. None of them have names, you can't attack or kill them, but you can pass that mark to them. All you have to do is run through them and it'll pass it over to them. Here you see I'm hit with prey by that ball of corruption. So I run over here and run through that crow, which tethers it to the crow. Very shortly after this, the corruption will actually kill the crow and assume its form, becoming another enemy we have to kill. So now there's 2 corruptions around. They die very easily, very quickly. There's 2 different kinds of enemies. There's crows and spiders. They both have their own annoyances. The crows have directional AoEs that you have to pay attention to, whereas the spiders will drop a pool of poison whenever killed. Whenever either of them is killed. I'll pass this one over to the spider so you can see what this one does. If you don't pass it, and you leave the mark on you until it's killed, or until it goes off, it will actually deal an amount of damage to you. It won't kill you straight off, thank goodness, and it'll create a humanoid corruption. The humanoid corruption is always just a regular sword user, but it takes considerably longer to kill, and I'm sure hits considerably harder than if you tie that to any of the regular enemies. So it's really just a better decision all around to pass it to the regular enemies. Other than some circular AoEs that you'll see just filling the arena every now and then, that's really it for the fight, and he should be down without too terribly much trouble. Of course, we see what we got in the single chest. And we can run through the next area. Curse the healer for running so far ahead. Now you'll see a couple time bombs right there. They're all dead, so you don't have to worry too much about them. As well as this rather large construct before us. The construct, I'll get to the time bombs in a moment. The construct is a coin counter type mob. So it has two primary attacks that you'll have to worry about. Its regular attack is a cleave. It also has a front conal AoE as well as a circular AoE around it. Granted, the healer probably would have run ahead if we hadn't, but we ran ahead and grabbed a fair number of enemies in what normally would have been 2 pulls. So now we have 2 constructs, a couple of roundsmen, and I believe a doblin. The roundsman is a regular kobold, doesn't do anything fancy, and the doblin is a doblin, who doesn't do anything terribly fancy. The constructs, of note, can be stunned out of their conal and circular AoEs, which I do. Now, throughout this fight, you also do need to be paying attention to the time bombs. You see, what the time bombs do is they very slowly approach from deeper in the dungeon. As soon as they get near you, as soon as they sense that you are there, around the time you'd aggro them, really, they stop where they are, and they let out a large AoE around them. They put down a marker so you can get out of the way. So you'll be wanting to bait them in and out, which you can see the healer doing, and then like a buffoon standing there and getting hit by it. Oh, the healer knows that it hurts. How about, oh, I don't know, healing the tank? Instead of trying to act like an idiot. I'm gonna be yelling at this healer so much. So the healer's up front taking care of the time bombs and leaving us to our own devices. But once these are defeated, we can move ahead. Ogre is actually disconnecting. That's okay, we should be fine, at least for that. And we can move ahead a little bit before we have to deal with anything else. So once you trigger the time bombs, if you want to, you can even run through them and just get to the other side of them. And then wait here where our healer is going to idiotically stand there and get hit by every time bomb that comes up. Yeah, you'll get hit by that, but you're not going to run down and aggro the next bunch of groups until the tank shows up. Okay, Ogre's here. I'm gonna run up and I'm gonna get hit by this one because I'm an idiot. Now you'll notice the simple bomb incubator here. This is actually what's spawning all of the time bombs. So you'll want to kill this first. Ignore the doblins, focus down the incubator. That way you at least don't have to deal with the time bombs anymore. It'll also blow open this wall, so you can move on. The doblins, and there's a roundsman here as well. Somebody put a leash on this healer. As we run up and once again grab an entire other pull. Now there's a lot of doblins, and a lot of roundsmen, and a lot of pickmen. They're still all kobolds, they're still all doblins, they're not going to be doing anything fancy, but there's going to be a lot of AoEs going off to dance around. This many guys, I'm once again going to be burning through both of my TP restoring abilities to get to AoE these guys down. Once they're all dead, one of them will drop a key. You'll need to grab that key so you can open this locked door, which then opens the path to the second boss. One of the higher-ranking kobolds, perhaps one of the people running the show here, digging their way into Pharos Sirius. This boss fight as well only has a couple mechanics to it, but we'll be getting to those as we get to them. The first of which is a strip mine. These were first implemented back in Ultima, which is you see the marker appear on the ground, you take proximity damage, so the closer you are to it, the more damage you take. The further you are from it, the less damage you take. Every time one of those goes off, it breaks loose some of the floorboards, or floor tiles, and you'll see corrupted aether pouring up through the vents. A slime will then spawn, which you have to grab and drag over top of that. The slime actually has a line coming off of it showing who it currently has aggro on. Ogre here has been the cool guy. Usually a DPS will take care of this, but Ogre's been the cool guy to real quick toss out a shield toss to the guy. You can see the corrupted aether over there. Toss out a shield toss onto the slime and drag it over the vent. When you kill the slime then, it'll turn into a puddle of goo and block up that vent. Two other things you've seen show up here are 2 furnacemen and 2 engines. Once this happens, the boss is actually invincible until you kill both engines. The furnacemen you also want to kill. They die very quickly, so don't worry too much about that. While the engines are here, they're going to be powering the boss himself. So you can see he's glowing blue with energy and dashing about the room like a lunatic. You can actually simply watch and see where he's got his drill pointed to see where he's going to dash, and very simply step to one side. Once the engines are dead, he'll go back to his regular routine. Hopefully by this point the furnacemen are also dead, and you can go back to what we were doing prior. Other than the AoE around himself, he'll again continue doing the strip mine, and again the healer will run into the center of it like an idiot. No, not this time, thank heavens. But it will bust loose some more floor tiles, so a corrupted gel needs to be brought into place of it. Ogre had that one. He had grabbed it. He had brought it over. Healer, why, might I ask, did you decide to grab hate on it, and then run in circles around the actual vent, causing it to die not over the broken tiles, which in turn means we didn't plug it up? Can you please, I beg of you, stop acting like an idiot? I don't care how well you understand the mechanics and how safe you are, just do the bloody fight. If anybody out there, just as a news to anybody out there, if you do any of this and you think you're cute, you're not. You're irritating everybody. Stop. Okay, the boss should be almost dead. You've seen the whole fight at this point. I'm just so tired of this stupid healer. After this, I feel like that moment where the healer messed up getting the slime on the vent was the moment where the healer said, okay, I guess I'll stop screwing around. Because after this, the healer doesn't do anything stupid. At least if memory serves. With the boss dead, we can move ahead. We're now into the actual caverns that the kobolds moved here through. You'll see another simple bomb incubator there on the side, as well as some Pikmin. The simple bomb incubator, as usual, needs to be killed first. Ignore the mobs until then. I mean, the tank probably wants to keep them off everybody, so that'd be cool. These are not time bombs that are created by these, though. These are time grenades, which are more of a weapon than the time bombs, which mostly just were an environmental hazard. The time grenades will seek you out to blow you up, seeing as they don't even start spawning until you're actually here and have aggro on the simple bomb incubator. But with that, there's just a couple, 2-3 guys left. Same guys we've been seeing up until now, so take them out. Moving on now to the next room, you'll see another Pikmin, and a Bedesman, but most importantly you'll see a living rock. This rather large creature is the most intimidating thing in the room, and I'm not entirely sure why he said Grimlock there. I mean, Grimlock is cool and all, but not sure what relevance it had. The living rock here, though, being the most intimidating thing in the room, is what I tend to focus down first. Even given that, though, it doesn't do anything that you wouldn't expect. It's got a conal AoE, it may have a circular AoE around it, and it appears to randomly select a target for its conal AoE. But once it's dead, there's only the two other regular adds, and we're done with this room. There's a treasure coffer hidden just off to the side, but that aside, we can move forward. Now, the next room is an entertaining room, and I've always wondered how it was really supposed to be done, but as we can see Ogre here doing it as correct as can be done. There are 3 simple bomb incubators here, and my frame rate decided to give me some problems. And these simple bomb incubators will be spawning time grenades. These time grenades will actually move forward 2 walls. You can see it off in the distance there, blowing up the Pharos wall. So the longer these bomb incubators are left alive, the more damage will be done to that wall. If you blow up that wall, more guys come out. Big guys come out. You can still kill them, but it's not a quick thing. So what we did there was Ogre ran around the room and grabbed everybody in the room, and then held them all next to the final incubator. This lets any AoEs go off and destroy that incubator. Me being mostly a single target DPS, I start and just solo the first incubator, then move to the second incubator, then catch up with everybody else. This ensures all the incubators are dead first, and we have to deal with the minimum number of adds before we move on. I was originally wondering perhaps if those walls broke down, if there was a chest or something hidden in there. There is not. There is nothing at all in those rooms. In fact, you can't go in them at all. It's very strictly a punishment for not killing the bomb incubators. Like, there's a difference between being an idiot and being entertaining. You can be an idiot and still be entertaining. But if you're going to be an idiot, make sure you're entertaining and not just an idiot. With that room cleared out, we're brought to the final boss of the dungeon. This is An interesting boss, because it's not actually one boss. It's actually two that we effectively have to fight back to back. So we'll start with this one and move to the next one when we get there. The most important thing you have to remember about this boss is really A, don't stand in AoEs. Always good to know. But also, whenever any bombs spawn, which I think is what he's doing here. Yes. You can see there are 2 lava bombs and 1 gray bomb. Whenever you see this, kill the gray bomb first. The gray bomb is the only bomb that acts like an actual bomb. The lava bombs have, say, a circular AoE that will go off of them exploding, but they'll often live through it, and it's really just a circular AoE. The gray bombs, on the other hand, if left alive long enough, will explode and can kill you. That's the most important thing you have to remember in this fight, though. And from here, it's mostly making things a little more complex, a little more tricky, but for the most part, that's all you need to remember. Once you get the boss down low enough, it'll start casting Big Burst. Big Burst will then do AoE damage to everybody when the boss is actually killed. And how much damage it does depends on how far along its cast bar it was when you killed it. If it's very close to being cast, or if it succeeds in casting, it may very well wipe you. However, if you manage to kill the boss very quickly, so it's not very far into its cast, it won't hurt everybody nearly as much. Once it's dead, though, a fair number of adds will spawn, 6, I do believe, 3 gray bombs and 3 lava bombs. Kill the gray bombs, do not move. Grab the lava bombs and drag them to one of the gray bombs. The DPS can focus down the other 2 gray bombs, and then all join in and pound down the last gray bomb, moving to AoEs and what have you if need be. Once they're dead, you'll be hit by a knockback coming from the furnace in the back of the room, which pushes you to the back of the room, and the true final boss will appear. A blue version of the thing we just fought. This fight is very not different from the previous. In fact, it's pretty much the same thing with the exception of 2 real things. 1, blue fire, which we just saw go off. This is an arena-wide AoE that you will get hit by. As the fight goes on, you also get a fire defense down debuff put on you, so you will be taking more and more damage from pretty much everything this thing does as the fight goes on. You also get more bombs to spawn, a gray bomb and a remedy bomb. Your priority is still to kill the gray bomb. If you even can kill the remedy bomb, it's unrealistic to do so. When you kill the gray bomb, the remedy bomb will die immediately. So just don't worry about the remedy bomb. Kill the gray bomb. The mechanic here, though, is that the remedy bomb does little more than slowly move towards the gray bomb. If it reaches the gray bomb, it explodes, killing everyone. The remedy bomb can, however, be pushed back. If you attack the remedy bomb, it'll get knocked back a small distance. So if you feel your DPS on the gray bombs isn't quite enough, or you're simply not going to be able to get to it in time, you can attack the remedy bomb and keep pushing it away from the gray bombs. That's actually what we saw over here. You saw it off in the distance anyway. The remedy bomb was getting very close to that second gray bomb, so someone attacked it, knocking it back. I believe that attack is only done twice, perhaps at specific intervals. Your limit break in this fight is also very useful because, if you'll recall, this is really only half the boss. So half of this boss's HP is only half of the total boss HP. So your limit break will do percentage-wise a lot more than you would expect. But that's the fight, and that is Pharos Sirius Hard Mode. Until next time, everyone.